aggressive on WWE,
Yeah, no.
but it's not even. I'm just like, all right, this is going to be aggressive.
So, a bonus thing, they've gone for Gragas support here, which last game we had Jomung on the Vayne, and they were against a Gragas top, which I guess they now believe shut down Breath on the Camille, or Breathe, sorry, on the Camille, which it didn't. He still popped off. And it definitely gave Jomung a hard time, but I don't know if Gragas support is really the answer here. Like, I mean, you tell me, Doug, that...
I mean, basically the game...
One of them can avoid the wombo combo. You just accept that one of them is guaranteed dead every fight, right? Either Shanks or Jomung is going to get blown up by this team of IG. But the other one can then probably just clean up the entire fight, right? Both of these are exceptional at shredding through tanks. Well, there are 3 massive tanks on the side of IG, so I can see a way in which this can work. And also you got Breathe, who can either be split pushing or jumping onto that backline dealing with Wink. I can see a universe where this works, and especially as well, Missing has that Greg Assault to deny the bullet time every single time.
Yeah, I personally am more in favor of the IG side of things. I think you've got a huge amount of flank opponents that can really make the likes of this Cassiopeia struggle, because she prefers when everyone's coming from one direction, so she can get the big petrifying gaze, lay down the right miasma. When you've got like Nenny who can come in from side, Shun who can come in, Galio as well can come in from the side, even Beolan to a certain extent as well. That's where I think I'll start to see a lot of the issues unravel for WE, and you only need a couple of well, Jomung going for the aggressive trade here, but
oh my goodness. Wink, get out of this lane. Go back to base. You're not welcome here.
But going back to my point, I think from WE's side of things, the short, like, it's very easy to kind of divide and conquer here from IG, where, okay, cool, we get Jomung caught into the Cataclysm from the Jarvan. Right, bullet time over the top, Jomung's dead. You can have Beolan and XZZ and Nenny then go and deal with Shanks. Like, there's a lot of moving parts here that you have to try and deal with on WE's side, and I think it becomes very difficult to manage all that when you've got so many flank opportunities from IG's side of things.
It's definitely a difficult one to pull off. I'm curious to see what on earth happens here with this invade, because Shanks is moving on in. They're trying to get onto this red buff. Beishang steps on forward. Shun realizes that he's in trouble here. Nice little dash from Beishang to dodge the stun. And I like that IG are basically saying, look, we're not going to give this one up without a fight. Red buff is going to reset. Should be leashed here towards Beishang into this brush, but obviously there's a ward there, so IG still have vision. Maybe WE back away. Jomung wants to get onto Wink. He's just like, get out of the lane. I told you before. Go back to base. Here we go. Flash forward. Missing knocked up. He's going to get the double knock up back at them, though. Shanks trying to do some DPS to the back line. Is Breathe trying to get into the fight as well. Beishang already flashed over the wall. Shun trying to chase for some kills here. Beishang are missing kind of alone on the backside, but so is Shun. Baolan gets a double knock up. Flash away from Shun to get out of the fight. Baolan finally goes down. That is first blood. And the red buff didn't even reset.
That is a big mistake coming through from Beolan that actually cost IG that fight. He tried to do the pulverized flash combo, messed it up, and only ended up knocking up Missing rather than everyone on WE, which meant when Nenny went for the CC follow-up, it wasn't quite there. So now you've got the kill that goes over in favor of Beishang. And on top of that, he's picking up this topside jungle as well. Like, this is a disaster, especially for a Jarvan who wants to be able to get out and get aggressive in this early game. He's now set behind, and he's not going to have most of his camps.
So really, really rough start here for the side of IG. And, I mean, it's kind of a classic case of a combo of level 1 Alistar, plus the fact that he messed up the combo means that Baolan basically doesn't exist for a little old while in this game now. But still, fantastic start here for Beishang. And important that Shun is the one that's been put behind by all of this, because Shun is the player that quite often IG Young have been relying on.
Yeah, and that's the big one, especially when with this matchup, the whole point of Jarvan here is to go very aggressive, like even maybe look for level 2, level 3 ganks, because you are going to fall off insanely fast to this Graves, just with how quickly he can clear. So already the fact that you've been put behind means that off of this first reset, Beishang is just going to tear through his jungle, be 2 levels up, no problem, which is why you're seeing IG now trying to make these plays.
Yeah, Shanks is going to be the target. Has cleanse, has flash available. He's going to be knocked up for days. Doesn't even need to flash though, because they don't have any damage. It's 3 tanks.
Yeah, and XCZ had already used his Winds of War, so there was just no follow-up damage at that point. Like, this is just kind of going from bad to worse here for IG, as they just haven't got a break at all in this game so far.
I mean, haven't got a break. They're making these plays. They're starting this all off. So, I don't know. If they want a break, they can just chill out for a minute. Yeah, ultimately, things kind of going fairly even. But the fact that Shanks just has to use a cleanse and 3 people went in there does have to flash away. But Beishang is here. I think XZZ may have bitten off more than he could chew on this one. Takes another tower shot. Beishang the one to grab the kill.
Yeah, you can see Beishang trying to see if he can hand that over towards Shanks and try and get these late game carries up and rolling, because we got to kill a bot side. Not sure what happened there, but I mean, WE are running away with this game. I was going to say, like, IG get off to a bad start as a composition that thrives in the mid game off of, you know, the Galio, the Triforce Leona, the Wink picking up his first items as well, having these big ultimates available to them. But already they're falling very far behind off that first play. Now we've got Jomung finding consistently kills onto Wink here. We got kills going over in the mid lane as well. These late game carries are coming up online, and I mean, Jomung's looking damn good in this bot lane.
That was saucy right there, because that was max range E-Flash coming out from Jomung. Very, very nicely done.
I love seeing Jomung, just the growth that he's had. Like, when we were looking at him back in spring, we were kind of like, okay, this guy goes over aggressive, he hasn't been looking too hot. And then we got into summer, I was like, hang on a second, this guy, he's got some moves. He's got some things he can show off. And now we're getting into Demacia Cup, you're seeing just another couple of months. Like, Jomung is getting to the point where he's an AD carry to be reckoned with.
Yeah, absolutely. When he's set up for success, Jomung really can carry, and clearly they believe in that, because they are drafting Vayne every single game right here, and Vayne's not a carry that you lock in unless you believe that this guy can really make things happen. So far on the top side of the map, it's interesting to see that it looks like Breathe is winning these trades, but he's actually pretty significantly down in CS to start the lane off.
Well, the big thing here is that Nenny hasn't actually backed yet, but Missing cut out.
Missing is very dead.
Kind of an interesting can confirm. One. I can confirm he is dead. Yeah, stepping around a little bit too far, trying to get control over River for this dragon. And in theory, you know, when you've got an AD carry, there's 2 levels of, you should be able to take control. But a big wave down pushed in on the bot side means that they don't have Jomung who's able to help, and Wink is the one who's able to roam up. So nice play from IG, just using their wave advantage in the bot side of the map.
Yeah, nicely done by IG. And in the meantime, you can see Beishang is moving towards the top side of the map, stealing away the Crook, stealing away everything he can. He's already got a huge, huge CS lead in the jungle. He's 2 levels up on Shun right now. Like, just to remind you guys, Shun is the hyped player on this IG roster. Shun is the guy that was coming out from LDL, super hyped, and you know, the star player on this roster. So,
and this was the problem that we were pointing at. It's just, you cannot play as Jarvan. Like, you pretty much the second you fall behind, you never come back into this matchup. It's impossible just because of how quickly Graves clears. He outscales you so incredibly fast in this matchup. And the fact that now they end up losing that level 1, Beishang got the kill as well. Like, he's just skyrocketing. You can see how fast he's clearing. He's got a 25 CS lead plus 2 kills. He's already got that Noon Quiver completed. Like, this is the problem in this matchup. And the fact that WE realized that this was an issue, quickly invaded to put Shun on the back foot, was just brilliant play from WE.
Yeah, really, really good stuff coming out from WE, and especially from Beishang in the jungle there as well. But when we look across the board right now, there's about a 2,000 gold lead in favor of WE, which is coming from the laning phase. Now, let me just remind anyone that doesn't know WE, they don't usually get themselves advantages in the laning phase. They usually lose the laning phase pretty hard. They're usually pretty far behind at 15 minutes. And then they start to win the game. Then they start to go into 5v5 team fights and win at that point. This is a new version of WE with Breathe up at the top side, with Shanks in the mid lane. And it's feeling like Breathe has been more than just a breath of fresh air for the team. And the same for Shanks in this mid lane, bringing a different style to the table where we have these stronger solo laners so that WE don't end up at such a deficit in the early game.
And that's the reason I was so excited for WE coming into this, because they now feel like they have 4 carries on their team. Like, if you want to play around Beishang, cool, let's go for that style. If we want the meta shifts in towards more of these carry-orientated top lanes, like Camille, fantastic. We've got Breathe, who, again, it was cursed last year, who was, I had him about 5th or 6th top laner in LPL. And then we got Shanks as well, this massive carry-orientated mid laner. Like, overall, this team has just leveled up massively, and you can see the results. They're looking pretty clean right now.
Interesting ult from Wink here. They really want to force this dive. Shun is here as well. He's level 6. Onto Jomung. They go in with the grand entrance as well. Beautifully done here, and Missing is just like trying to find a way out of the play. 4 players strong from IG. In the meantime, Beisheng is going to find the kill onto Nenny on the top side of the map. He's got Herald as well, so they should be able to find themselves a turret. Is Missing is just trying to get out of the play. Shanks is here to try and protect his support, but I think maybe Shanks just needed to run from this one. Down goes the Herald. So this will be a tower while all of this is going down. And Shanks is trying to go for a 1v3. And somehow they're respecting it.
I think they got to respect this top lane push. I think that's the main thing that they're trying to back off for. So they don't end up losing 2 towers for what was a very roundabout double kill in that bottom lane. They haven't actually been able to pick up any of these turret plates either because Wink was left by lonesome. So although you do get the 2 kills, it's still a bit of a trade back coming through for WE.
Well, here we go. Take another look at what actually happened up on the top side here.
Yeah, okay, so, well, nice job from Nenny to actually escape away from that, but, yeah, the burn is going to end up catching him, and Beisheng is pretty damn big right now. Immortal Shield Bow picked up for him as well, realizing that, look, although Gale Force is nice, and, I mean, we've seen some Eclipse as well, he just needs survivability to get away from the initial burst combo that's going to come through from the Jarvan, the Galio, and the CC chain from the Alistar, and maneuver away from that. So I like this pickup coming through from Beisheng, understanding how this composition from IG works and how he can work to avoid that.
Yeah, it's we're definitely getting to a point now, though, where Beisheng is just so huge. He's 30 CS up. He's now got 3 kills as well. He's 3-0 up in the CS. He's 3-0 on the scoreboard, and his gold bounty is 350 right now. That was a really nice condemn coming out from Jomung. Does tank an entire bullet time, but that's okay because there was no CC to follow up. Nice little disengage coming out from the side of WE at the bot side there. But most importantly, WE are really starting to snowball, and it's a big old diffy in the jiffy.
I mean, and that's the problem is, as we said, like, I'm not blaming Shun for this one. It's the way the matchup works and unfortunately get invaded, but Baolan onto Missing.
Jomung is rolling the wrong way right there. On towards Baolan, though. He's got the true damage, so the Alistar ult won't do all too much for them. TP comes in as Breathe is going to look the Hextech Ultimatum. Doesn't actually go for it immediately. I'm going to let IG walk away from this one. TP's on all sides, and I think they were a little bit nervous because XCZ does always have that ultimate available.
The problem for IG right now is that their composition would love to try and split off into a 1-3-1 spread out WE. Like, Shanks on this Cassiopeia is not really suited to go off into a side lane, especially if you could have like Jarvan come in at any point in time, get the Galio to follow up as well. Like, it becomes very difficult to manage your side lanes correctly in those situations. So overall, IG need to try and start working on these side lane turrets and get this mid lane turret down to open up this map. But when they're going for these plays, WE are just doing such a good job of avoiding them and turning around the plays. So then it's actually IG who are on the back foot. They're the ones that are moving away. And it's WE who are picking up advantages through Beisheng farming the enemy jungle, picking up a bit more CS for himself, or even Jomung, as you can see, who's now pushed in this wave bot, and he's getting to scale.
I have to say, considering the amount of waves that we've seen both Breathe and Jomung crash underneath these towers while the enemy laner isn't there, I'm pretty disappointed to see that both of them are behind in CS. I don't feel like that's the way that this should be right now. There's a few times on camera that I'm watching these guys miss a few creeps. I feel like maybe there's a little bit of rust going on with WE right now.
I mean, potentially. I'd be surprised though. I think a lot of these guys are still top of their game. I mean, you're starting to see like Jomung and getting some of these condemns. Looking at Beisheng still understanding like his jungle pathing. I wouldn't be surprised if, since they didn't go to Worlds, like they've just been practicing for a lot longer. Like we talk about the holiday debuff that some of these teams do get. I don't know if WE falls into that category.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but either way, not going to be the end of the world for them. And one thing you have to bear in mind as well is, even though the early game was pretty action-packed to start things off, we've got a Vayne and a Cassiopeia. WWE realistically want to be waiting for a couple of bounds before they really put their foot down. I say that, they're invading pretty aggressively and they're going to be punished for it. Missing flashes away though, and it's actually going to be a fairly positive trade for WE until Missing goes back in. Baolan peeling for the rest of the squad as Jomung now has damage, but the Condemn doesn't quite find the stun.
It's just IG not quite able to get onto the same page there. Baolan was trying to follow up in the Cataclysm, get those two people in the same position, but unfortunately wasn't able to get over that wall. Flash wasn't quite up and available for him, and it meant that you did get the escape off of the flashes coming through from Missing. So again, IG, they're aggressively trying to make these plays, which I do agree with. It's the best way for them to try and get back into the game and use this combo that they have, try to build off the item spikes that are coming through, but unfortunately they're just not quite able to get the synergy there.
Yeah, not quite able to pull these plays off just yet. And you can start to see across the scoreboard, we're getting these mythic items coming on through right now. As you can see, there's 4 now on the side of WE. We're still not really there, though, on the side of IG, because we've got a Blade of the Rune King as a first item for Nenny. We've got the Mana Moon as a first item for Wink as well. So this is actually a really good opportunity in the game for WE to just force a couple of fights purely on just item difference alone.
Yeah, and I honestly, I mean, WE kind of have their pick of the litter here. You can go for this more aggressive style, which we've seen when they're able to get these turnarounds. It looks fantastic. But at the same time, they're fine to just play it slow. They have the composition that scales better literally across the board. Like, every single matchup is better for WE in the late game. So why rush things? You can just take your time, pick up these Rift Heralds, start to get a little bit more gold in your pocket, and wait for these 2 to 3 items to roll through before you actually have to do anything.
Nice opportunity on the tower here from IG as they'll get a good chunk of damage done, but won't be able to finish that one off. The answer comes from WE. As the bot laners return, you see Shun with some very aggressive positioning. They're trying to get a little bit more control. You can see IG, they know that there's a minute on the clock until this dragon comes up. They're trying to push their vision line a little bit deeper on that bottom side of the map, but good answer from WE to turn up on the scene. And you can see on the minimap now, there are a bunch of control wards littered through that bot side jungle of WE.
And there's, from WE's point of view, just enough vision control to hold on to this dragon. Once they have these like pink wards, as you can see in the tri-bush at the back of red, they can still swing in towards this river, take back that vision control relatively handy. They even as well, just off that back that we got coming through from Shanks, he can shove out this wave. They can still enter from mid into river if they really want to. So overall, WE, I wouldn't be surprised to see if they try and contest this dragon, but we'll have to see. Maybe they are. This essentially, this dragon's going to give us the clue as to what they want to go for, whether they want to be aggressive or if they're willing to just wait for the late game. And it looks like it might be wait for the late game, as you can see Shanks going towards that top side with Beishang, which means they're giving up control of this dragon area.
I'm really interested by this Gragas support as well, at what point that starts to be a massive factor. Obviously, you can use your body slam to stop a lot of the engage potential from the side of IG. It's a really great tool for interrupting. But whether or not this is something that is going to set up plays in the early game, we'll have to wait and see, because Missing's certainly doing that as I speak.
And they get the ultimate, the unbreakable will out of Baolan. Like, this is just WE putting pressure down. And honestly, I thought with the pressure that IG had gotten, where they'd moved in towards river, gotten all that vision control, and they'd be able to get this dragon, but they end up giving it up the second that mid lane pressure starts to go down. And that was the big issue for them. It's just no priority in any of these lanes. They got to go back and take these side lanes under the control, and they end up giving up dragon. You still get the bot lane tower. You still got Shanks pressure in the mid, and IG just look like they're crumbling.
And it's really interesting to see the way that these two top laners are interacting in that regard as well, because you talked about lane priority and where the players are on the map. Breathe has regularly been just leaving the top lane to start walking down towards the plays, which... And the reason I bring this up is because it's a totally different style from Breathe comparatively to last year, and it's also the same style that we saw from Morgan last year. This is very clearly the way that WE as an organization believes that League of Legends should be played.
But I think it also works out pretty well where, from Breed's point of view, he's got that long lane in the top lane, just push that in, try and use the advantage that you have, the timing window before the minions actually get towards your own top lane turret, and it's just a super nice way of playing League of Legends. And I mean, this is kind of where like LS starts talking about, oh well, if you freeze, well, Breathe becomes useless, and I do agree with this. But if IG are going to keep giving over these advantages where they are looking to fight, they are looking to try and threaten the Dragon, Breathe is getting a lot of value out of these rogues.
He certainly is. Missing, going to be able to get a nice ult onto Shun there, knocks him into the team, but here comes the wombo combo. Missing, flashes over the wall to safety, so does Breathe, and now the re-engage comes out from WE, and it's a big and kill onto the cow, but it looks like that's all they'll find.
And that's the thing here, like, WE are doing such a good job of absorbing that one haymaker coming through from IG, but once it's gone, there's not a huge amount left in the tank. So WE do a great job of, okay, I'm going to take this, I'll block it, and then I can go swinging in with my own one. But they're much more about these multiple combos, these jabs, and that's where IG just aren't really able to stay standing.
So we do have Baron coming onto the map in about 10 seconds. And the reason I bring that up, Dagda, because neither of these teams has such a ridiculous lead that they could just run at it, unless one of these teams had some really high DPS composition, like, you know, things like Cassiopeias and Vates. Wait a second. WE has exactly that composition. And they also have Graves as a collector. So
they also have a 6,000 gold lead, I'm just saying. So I think they're in a pretty okay spot. They can definitely go for it.
The thing I'm trying to say is, if IG positions around the bottom side of the map, WE can very quickly take a Baron.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not answered by IG either, right? You've got a misfortune essentially and a bit coming through from this Aurelia if you want to try and go for that Baron. So if I'm WE, when we start to look towards, oh well, this team's posturing towards Baron, maybe we can posture towards Dragon, all that kind of dancing and trading, WE just take Dragon every time. They're like, cool, we'll start adding a second Mountain Drake to us, getting us towards that third Dragon. We can start to look at that Soul. Like, overall, WE are just in such a commanding position here, and the items are starting to come through now too, where their carries are just so much stronger. You've already got the 2 items coming through there for the Cassiopeia. She can upgrade into that Archangel Staff at any point in time. That tier's fully stacked. Same when we look towards Vayne, she's got that Rage Knife, and she's going to be looking up, there we go, with the Gwynsu's Rage Blade. So Collector completed for Graves. Like, you're hitting item spikes across the board. Ravenous nearly even completed for Camille. Like, these are the point where your late game carries are becoming carries, and they've already been carried. Yeah. So I don't know what else to add here.
Yeah, we're getting to that point where they're going to be real scary. And I have to say, I think the Rage Knife item is hilarious. Obviously, it's a very necessary item in the way that Rage Blade works these days, replacing crit with on hit essentially. But just Rage Knife as a concept, it's like Rage Blade for kids, you know? It seems like such a silly item, Dave.
It's just like, I'm so angry I'm going to cut up the steak. It's like, alright.
Oh my goodness, it's adorable is what it is. But it's not going to be as adorable now it's upgraded into the Rage Blade. Joe Monk certainly ain't trying to be adorable. He's looking for kills at this point in the game because he's only had 1 kill so far. And I know, I've met Vayne players before. They're psychopaths, man. They don't just want to kill one person. They're serial killers.
Yeah, I mean, there's Vayne spotting for a reason, right? But Joe Mung has been doing a fantastic job of showing just what this champion's capable of if you don't run it down. So, I'm looking forward to seeing anyway just how explosive these fights are going to be. Because at this point, WE are in the driver's seat. They're winning every single matchup. They can pretty much do whatever they want. And it looks like killing is the name of the game.
Curse has found himself the 1v1, and we know what happens when Curse gets a 1v1. Breathe with the kill here. Baolan knocked into the team, but the percent damage should be able to burn through his ulti regardless. He's going to be knocked up. They've decided to send some reinforcements, but the bullet time doesn't find any kills, and it means Jomon can now start to pop off. Double kill for Shanks as well, as Jomon just chases them down and burns through the health bars.
I mean, the exhaust does absolutely nothing there. Jomon kills them, and here's this incredibly fast Baron that you were talking about. 23 minutes into the game, WE will turn over towards that, and they will just burn this down. Even able to pick up the Dragon on the opposite side as well, thanks to Breathe. There is just nothing IG are able to accomplish right now.
Yeah, this is going to be very comfortable for the side of WE, as taking these 2 objectives should push them just underneath a 10,000 gold lead to boot here. Wing looking to contest the Drake. I don't know if that's the play. I don't know if you can 1v1 Camille at this point in the game. I'm pretty sure that's not it. He realizes that quickly and is sent packing. And That is like the 6th time that I've said
they're
that about
TPing
Wing this
in.
game where he just gets kicked out.
They're TP'd in. This is going to be a fight.
Oh, that was close. Joma, just auto one more time, man. Just finish the streak. Come on. It got to 20 HP.
I don't blame him. That Galio off that TP is going to be coming in very quickly, especially if he's got, I think he's got Nimbus Cloak as well, so you get the TP, move speed, and then the Nimbus buff as well. But overall, like, this is just super sloppy. Like, Baolan goes in aggressively, no one's ready to follow. Now you got at least Baolan baiting people in, but watch, like, WE, they just break apart so easily. Shun then comes in late with the Cataclysm after you've got the bullet time coming in from Wink. It's just IG all on different pages and none of it coming together for them.
It just feels like the plan is there, it's just a little half-baked, and the execution of that plan is not working out. Another health bar shredded by just the sheer amounts of damage here. Shanks flashes back into the rest of his team. Here comes Nenny to try and carry the fight. His health bar already dropping so damn low. Jomung trying to kite away, trying to turn invisible in the midst of everything. The Zhonya's is going to save Shun for now. Broken stopwatch going to be in his inventory for the rest of the game now. Let's see, though, what WE can take off the back of that win.
Yeah, there's just nothing that IG can do. At that point, you've already got the Cataclysm gone down. The bullet time again has already been used. So even though you're getting onto some of these key targets, like they kill Shanks, they are trying to set up for Jomung as well. There's just nothing left after that big haymaker goes through.
There we go. Shun forced out once again. He's had a really rough game. He's still on just one item at this point in the game. He's basically an item and a half behind Beisheng at this stage. It's been a very, very difficult one for IG. Essentially, IG Young at this point, to be honest. And we'll have to see if there's anything left for IG fans in this game. Because there's a part of me, deep down in my soul, Dagda, that believes in the Wombo combo. Like, you can piece it together in your mind with the Jarvan goes in, the Alistair's there as well, Galio slams on top of everyone, Wink with the bullet time over everybody. But the problem with that dream is that WE have to mess up for it to be possible.
Yeah, and that's the big thing, and they got to mess up in multiple different facets. Because you've got the Zhonya's completed for Shanks. I mean, he's able to stay relatively safe from this.
Beisheng just dashed over him and then ulted in the wrong direction. They still get the kill, it doesn't matter, but that was kind of hilarious to watch. Jomung's just going to chase them down over and over. Oh, the bullet time. You know, that was a slice of the dream we talked about. Just a tiny little... That was a taster. It
was a teaser.
For IG in spring, because I don't think they're making it any further in this tournament.
Yeah, I think this is all she wrote pretty much for IG. So WE, they will keep the dream alive. They will go on later on to face against BLG, and the winner of that will end up taking Group D as well, as WE are kind of just finishing off this one.
Yeah, still possible for RNG to jump into that tiebreak as well, but Maolan get an absolute shred. This is going to be game. And just to remind everyone, these guys are tied in the standings, but BLG are 3-0, which means this win is everything for the group. Triple kill comes through for Jomung to round this one out. And it means that WE, as you rightly say, keep their playoff dreams alive. IG are now officially out of the run.
Yeah, I still ended up getting them a lot of the time just because of how far Beisheng was ahead. But they still they were cool, calm, and collected. They knew they had the scaling on their side. They knew that there was no rush for them to try and do anything. And you can see the damage graph there, like everyone churning out just so much with solo kills, I'm pretty sure just across the board.
Yeah, really, really great stuff across the whole team.